I think I'm speaking for myself on this one. I'm very discouraged by the dysfunction in Washington. The inability.
Me too. That's why I'm running.
What I've seen is that no matter who the president is, whoever wins, they can't be effective if they don't know how to get both sides to work together. So if you're president, how would you do that?
Okay, it's a great question. So could everyone hear it? It's about how do you get both sides to work together? Let me start by saying we know what works to get both sides to work together. It's called pressure from the public. Why do I know that works? Remember the VA scandal in Arizona? When we learned that veterans were dying waiting for appointments and that the bureaucrats at that VA were cooking the books so nobody found out, the American public was so outraged that they put enormous pressure on their elected representatives. And in 3 weeks, this do-nothing Congress that cannot get along, in 3 weeks they passed a bill. And it sailed through the Senate 99-0, and President Obama signed it. And that bill said we could fire the top 400 senior executives of the VA for dereliction of duty. Pressure works. Now, unfortunately, the pressure abated. Nobody's been fired. And now we know that 307,000 veterans have died waiting for health care, and the VA just handed out $140 million in bonuses. Okay? So, that's a fact. That's a fact. This is ineptitude and dereliction of duty. Here's the reason I'm optimistic. 75% of Americans agree the federal government is now inept and corrupt. What does that mean? It means Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. It means young, old. It means men, women. 82% think we have a professional political class that cares more about the preservation of its own power, privilege, and position than on getting anything done. That is common ground. So here's how I am going to use it. I mentioned technology. We need to be able to fire people who are derelict in their duty in the federal government. There must be consequences. The second thing we need to be able to do is to have literally zero-based budgeting. What does that mean? It means every dollar can be examined, any dollar can be cut, any dollar can be moved. It's the only way you can both spend less money overall and put the money where you really need to spend it. How are we going to get that done? Pressure. I will ask each of my fellow citizens. The president has a weekly radio address. I will go into the Oval Office during that weekly radio address and I will ask you to take out your smartphones. If you have a flip phone, you must upgrade. I've seen a lot of flip phones in New Hampshire, folks. A lot of flip phones. Guilty. Exactly. All right. You got plenty of time, shop around. But the reason that's important is because I'm going to ask you to take out your smartphones and literally, as your president, I will say, do you agree with me that there must be consequence in government for a failure to perform? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. There is an app for this, ladies and gentlemen. This technology exists. I will also say to you, do you think it's finally time to pass the bill for zero-based budgeting? By the way, it might surprise you to know, there's a bill for zero-based budgeting sitting on the floor of the House. There has been a plan for a 3-page tax code, something I have been advocating ever since I started running, that's been around for 20 years. There is a bill for border security. There is a bill for accountability throughout government. All these things exist, but they are not being acted upon. If you will press 1 for yes, it is pressure. And I am prepared to bet on the fact that when 3/4 of the American public thinks their government no longer works for them, that if given the opportunity, you will press 1 for yes. And we are going to keep the pressure on. This is why I say, ladies and gentlemen, we must remember who we are. Ours was intended to be a citizen government. It is time, citizens, to take our government back. And you can help me do that.
Crop TV.